What is up, Fit Fam? Coach Rye from Team Flex. We're going to talk about Arnold Classic Wellness. The Arnold Classic Wellness division has just concluded. We got our placings. We got our winner. I don't think it was all too surprising, but we're going to chat about it. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to go over, what this means for you as a wellness competitor, what you're going to be doing if you're starting in this, if you're trying to get a pro card, whatever it is, you're competing at the pro level, you want to go to Olympia. We're talking about what the judges are telling us today in this video with messaging. We'll do a bit of a recap, okay? So let's take a look here. We have the lineup here as our winner, Francielle, okay? So just as predicted, hashtag predicted by me and actually probably many other people, because it was pretty blatantly obvious, especially once you saw the actual pictures of the call outs and things like that, which, by the way, we're working with what I can find in the video today. I mean, we're not able to use the actual Arnold Classic live stream stuff, so we're looking at pictures, and the pictures are not posting on NPC News Online, but it's all right. We're gonna go over everything we need to look at here in this video for sure, and it's gonna make sense for sure. Okay, so Francielle right there, and then we got Isa. She took second. Okay, we actually had Sandra take third. That's a little bit of a surprise. I thought Bruno was gonna be in that third spot, but she did take the fourth, and then we got Lily in the fifth. Okay, so this is basically exactly how I thought it would line up for the most part, with Sandra taking up just a one place above Bruno in that sense. But that's how this is, you guys. When you're at this level, I mean, it comes down to the smallest things. When I talk to Sandy Williamson, she's the head NPC IFBB judge. She's the one giving people pro cards, judging there, doing that. She's judging the Olympia, the Arnold, everything. She's telling me that at this level, at this pro top level, like at any pro show basically, but especially at these ones where we got these top athletes, like, it can come down to the most minute of things. It can come down to hair. It can come down to, makeup. It can come down to suit, because the physiques and everything are all there. So then you got to start picking up, the nitty gritty little bits here and there of those things to really pick your winner. So, take that information, all you out there competing. Don't skimp on the other stuff. Don't skimp on the hair and the makeup and the suit and all that, Don't think just because you do the diet and the training, you're in the right spot. It's not really how it's going to work. But, the physiques are very comparable at this level. They're very close. And, the things come down to the fact that it can be any little thing that changes placings at this level. So this is one of the only pictures that I can really use and find of the actual call-outs here that we can do in the video. So this is a little bit of a recap from yesterday. This is pre-judging, but let's go a little bit more in depth with what we're seeing here and how these placings actually broke down. Because I know a lot of you have questions. A lot of you thought Isa might have pulled this one, right? A lot of you thought that, it could have been going another way, and it didn't. Francielle is still winning. She's still that champion. So let's just look here. So what we can see right out the gate, you guys, is that Isa and Francielle have a very similar physique. When we're looking at shoulder caps, okay? I shouldn't even say caps. The shoulder development, let's say that, because it's not a capping effect. It's more of a rounding, a development effect where, we can see that there's that fullness there. This is required in wellness. You'll see all the athletes in this top call out have that. This top four here, in other words, they all have that. You got to have that little bit of shape. Wellness is disproportionate for the lower body being dominant, but it doesn't mean no upper body. It just means that the lower body is more developed, bigger, more dominant than the upper body. So you still do need to have that. And you'll see in the front and the back that we're going to see that on all these athletes, but especially more so into our top two. And this is interesting. This is where I think, one of the factors for Isa, Francielle gets that development, and she looks very still disproportionate, right? So we look at her shoulders here, and we can see, all right, there's that shape, that's everything there. And then you look lower body, and you're like, whoa, that lower body is still so dominant, right? Her glutes just so much more pronounced, her quads so much more pronounced, hamstrings so much more pronounced, and especially in the back pose. Like, we're going to see night and day. You almost forget she has shoulders when you see that back pose, because it's just so dominant in the lower body. Isa, I think, she's got that same kind of look, but she does have a little bit more symmetry, in my opinion, right? She's a little bit more balanced. Shoulders look a little bit more balanced to the lower body, and she's clearly still dominant, but in comparison to Francielle, it is not, the same. It just looks like she's more symmetrical. It looks like she has a little bit more of that shape up and down, similar more towards, not the dominant Francielle wellness look that has basically become the standard for wellness division, right? And we'll see this as we go into the athletes on the outside. I'm going to do a much longer recap, by the way, you guys, of the Arnold. We're going to be talking about Arnold for a while. I'll go through, basically all the athletes and all the placings and do all that in a longer video, probably over the next couple weeks here. I want to get this one done today, though, because it's happening now. I want you to get the facts and understand what's going on here to apply to your season, because the Arnold kicks off this season, you guys. And I do got to say this, by the way, too. We're doing a giveaway, free month of coaching, okay? Get your name on the list. It's in the description here, in the bio, whatever you want to call it. Go there and put your name, put your email in, get your name in there. I'm picking winners to win a free month of our Ultimate Competitor Coaching Program. Same program we use for, pros. We use it for NPC athletes trying to get a pro card. We use it for everybody that wants to compete at any level, even if it's your first show. This is what we do with our coaching. It's all custom built and awesome. It's a once in a, lifetime type of experience where we're the only people in the world doing it the way we do it. And I think you would really enjoy it. So make sure you get on that list so you can win that. We're picking winners soon. I may extend the deadline even because I'm just so hype on the Arnold. I may extend the deadline. Technically, it's supposed to be by the end of the Arnold, which is basically today. But you know what? Let's extend it. Let's go. Get your name on that list. All right? Because I want to pick some people to win this. And I know it could be you. Put your name down there. All right? Let's get back to what we're talking about here with wellness, though, okay? So, again, the battle that we're talking about really is Isa and Francielle because, everybody else looks great. They all have done the work. They have all come to a place, but Isa and Francielle were coming into the show disproportionately already steps above, being 1 and 2 at Olympia, and then coming to the Arnold, that's putting you an advantage over a lot of the other athletes that are still kind of starting up. It could be their first time at the Arnold, could be their first time at a show of this caliber. So, it's definitely a factor there. Now, looking at Isa, like I said, I think a little bit more symmetry up and down. You can especially see this in the back pose here. She's still very dominant in the glutes and the lower body. Don't get me wrong, right? She was right up on Francielle at Olympia by 1 point was the difference, right? And that could have been one of those small itty-bitty things I was talking about that made the big difference. But I do think that gap closed, or actually got wider, I should say, for this event. I think Francielle came and looked clearly like there's no chance it was within 1 point, and she probably did. Everybody knew it was within 1 point at Olympia. There's no question they knew that, and I'm sure she went back to the drawing board and said, okay, well, if it's within 1 point, that puts me pretty close to maybe losing my titles. I would like to have that not happen. I'm going to come in a lot different, a lot better, and she really did. So, looking at Francielle here, where she made improvements, and we'll do some videos on that even from Olympia to now, but this is a whole different look for her. She continues to advance. She's just a dominant force that cannot be stopped in this wellness division. It is crazy. She's literally defying the criteria. But, you'll see the quad sweeps. Look at these things here compared to Isa's, right? Isa looks like she deliberately went and tried to add a lot more size to go and compete with Francielle. And I think that did two things for her. I think it kind of threw off some muscle proportions. And I also think it threw off her conditioning. She came in much softer. And a lot of people knew this. I saw comments all day on social media after I had done my video of people talking about it. People commenting on my page saying, hey, you know what? She looks like she's softer. Some people really liked it. Some people said it was obviously not going to get her in the win. But either way, I think, Isa was like, okay, well, coming from Olympia being 1 point off, she said, let me just size up. Let me get bigger. Let me try to compete a little bit more with Francielle's dominance. And then that's going to put me over. I'm going to get that 1 point and I'm going to win, right? And so I think that, again, though, when athletes do this, and take notes, all you athletes out there that want to compete in wellness, when you try to add too much muscle too fast, you inevitably add more body fat, right? It's going to happen. And what happens is it's a lot harder to bring that muscle mass to stage without bringing over, not getting the right level of condition. In other words, having too much body fat is basically what it comes down to. Because if you add a lot of body fat, you add a lot of muscle, then you have to go eventually, during that prep, cut that down to the right right level of condition. And if you haven't had that amount of muscle before or that amount of body fat going into a competition, it becomes a lot harder to really master that and figure out how to do that. And it usually will take a couple competitions even to really figure that out. So I think Isa kind of missed her mark yesterday in those zones. She came in with more muscle, but it almost looks disproportionate. I'm looking at Isa's, sweep here in the quads, and I'm getting an overpowering effect from the glutes, right? I'm looking at the glutes, and I'm getting the quads more than I am the glutes in this shot, and I think that that's a factor for her that kind of, again, took her off the thing. And this happens, again, when you're really hammering that lower body. If you're over-activating, certain muscle groups, trying to grow other ones, like you're hitting the lower body, trying to grow your glutes, but your quads are working a lot more because you got big quads in the wellness division. Well, what happens is your quads get disproportionately sized up, right? And then you get this imbalance, and judges will pick that up. And this happens way more at the amateur levels, by the way, okay? This is top tier stuff. These shifts we're seeing are very small. Like, you're looking at this probably like, okay, well, I can see what he's talking about, but it doesn't look that blatant at the amateur level, NPC level, even newer pros. It is very blatantly obvious when this happens, but it still happens to everybody. It's important to know. And so looking at Isa, we can see that quad sweep is pretty overpowering from the back, I would say. It's also pretty overpowering from the front. Like, I'm looking at that quad and I'm seeing, okay, yeah, I got quads, hamstrings, glutes, but I got a lot of quads here. And wellness division is not just about quads, okay? Bodybuilding in general, we always say, is one from the back, and it really is in every division. I mean, even the men's divisions, the best back will win most everything, because that's just kind of how this works. So the same thing happens in wellness and bikini. You got to have the right back shot, the right back development, the right back proportion, the right back size, the right back conditioning, all that. And, for the women's divisions, it's largely focused on lower body, especially wellness. And again, so this is where I think, Isa can kind of miss the mark a little bit with that. She brought too much quad in, didn't bring enough glute, didn't get the right proportion really with it. And also her conditioning was off because she didn't cut down enough to really bring it up to Francielle, okay? And Francielle, on the other hand, she brought ever better in every way type of physique here. She brought that upper body. She still's got that solid taper. It looks like she almost even widened her lats a little bit to enhance that taper, which is risky to do as a wellness competitor. But, for somebody at her level, it definitely really favored her because, you get this nice sweep effect. It almost gives you, her waist looks even more narrow than it actually is, right? It probably, her and Isa probably have very comparable weight sizes, but side by side in this posing choice and with that taper and that lat width right there, it makes a big difference in that look overall. So you can see again, okay, development upper body, tapers into the waist, lower body, and this is where Francielle's just dominant, okay? She dominates. The glutes very pronounced. Like, looking at her lower body, you see the glutes from the front as the most dominant factor. We're not getting that with Isa, okay? Again, Isa to me looks like quads are most dominant. And glutes here in Francielle, okay, most dominant. Again, one from the back. Wellness is one from the back. You'll hear this from the judges. This is what judges tell me all the time when I talk to all the judges that are at the Olympia levels, judging all across the board, giving people pro cards at nationals, so on and so forth. They're telling me, from the back, gotta have the glutes right, gotta have the hamstrings right, gotta have all that right. You gotta still have the whole rest of the package, but the differentials really do oftentimes boil down to the back, okay? Now, so Francielle here, she's got the glute development, she's got the quads that match, she's got good symmetry in hamstrings. That's another place. Isa didn't really pull it through. I'm seeing Isa's hamstrings, and they're not really looking like they match the rest of her physique at this point, right? Like, she's even got a little bit more glute, she's got over-dominant quads, and her hamstrings are a little bit lacking, I think, in my opinion. So this overall kind of put her into a spot where, again, Francielle had a very clean, easy win here. We look at Francielle's back pose, okay? Very dominant from the glutes. Very, very dominant. With that upper glute that I always talk about. If you guys watch this channel, we talk about it constantly. Judges always looking for this. They're hammering this to look at this at every level. She's got it to a degree that it's basically untouchable. It's three-dimensional. You're seeing it from every angle, every position on stage that she's in. It's there. It's pronounced. There is no question if she has it or if judges will be able to see it. It is there. It is dominant. This is a fact for you out there. If you want to compete in wellness, really make sure you got that upper glute. Judges are looking from a lower perspective up at you. And when you hit your back pose, if you don't have that upper glute, it will score you down. You will not place as good as you could have. And it can oftentimes even put you out. You could have a killer physique and, you know, you don't have that upper glute, it's game over, okay? So really focus on that upper glute, wellness competitors. Also focus on the overall glute, right? Like Francielle, she's got this three-dimensionality. We can literally see the full glute muscle. This is a ton of fullness, that tie-in zone, okay? We always talk about tie-ins. Very important in wellness division. Judges want to see slight separation here, okay? And that's really what this is, by the way. This looks like, you're probably like, wow, this looks like it's chiseled out of granite. Yeah, it does in some cases, but really why this happens, she's actually much leaner than any of the other athletes in the top call out, right? Like it could be a few percentages here or there body fat wise, but the reason Francielle looks leaner is because she carries more muscle. All right, so think of it this way. If everybody has the same amount of conditioning relatively, everybody's at the same level of leanness, but somebody has more muscle, that muscle goes and pushes out into the skin, which gives you, okay, then more of a leaner look, you know? Think about it in the sense of like taking a plastic bag and wrapping it over something, right? The tighter it gets, the tighter it's going to look. It's the same with all these athletes here. If you got the muscle development to push on it, especially in the glutes and the hamstrings, it's going to look leaner. It's going to look tighter. This is, again, you know, competitors always chasing, trying to be leaner, more cardio. What you really should be focusing on is more fullness in your muscle. If you want to look leaner, you want to get that tie-in, right? So Francielle really brought that. Again, it's way cleaner, way clearer than Isa's. Isa, again, I think she missed her mark conditioning-wise, and that kind of softened up her tie-in a bit there too. And again, her quads are just taking the whole show from that back pose. It's just distracting. And her hamstrings, for some reason, they don't look like they're fully building all the way up. You know, it looks like she's maybe working the range of the lower hamstring more than the rest of it. So it's not tying in super well to the upper glute. It looks like it's actually more kind of bulging down in the lower position. You know, where Francielle, we got a clean, you know, hamstring shot all the way through. This is important. Again, it just ties it in, and, you know, not over dominant. When we look at the back pose, the glutes are what are taking the whole show. This is what judges are looking for in wellness. It's the glutes, it's the glutes, it's the glutes, and they're taking it, right? Like, we're not worried. I'm not looking at her quads and being like, okay, this is overdone. No, this looks like symmetrical to me, because wellness, disproportionate lower body, that's what we want. We want to see those lower body muscles be in correct symmetry still. You don't want to be overdone in the quads, smaller in the glutes, so on and so forth. If anything, you want to be bigger in the glutes, still have all the shape in the quads and the hamstrings, and show it. And that's really, again, you know, where Francielle brings it home. Pretty clean, pretty easy, you know, win for her. And I think she really has made the gap much wider for Isa to come up and actually take that title. So Isa, on the other hand, you guys, don't get me wrong. I think Isa's a great athlete. She's got a crazy awesome physique. I mean, she's number 2 in the world, really, in this division right now, very easily. Nobody's really creeping right up on that, in my opinion, at all. I think most people, you know, it's going to be a while before other athletes are getting up into these top ranks and could, you know, beat Isa, could beat Francielle, could do that, right? So Isa, I think, you know, if she just brings a bit better conditioning and she kind of reshapes some of this new muscle she's got, she's going to be in a very, you know, close spot to Francielle again. But Francielle right now, as it sits, and probably, in my opinion, for basically ever, until Francielle decides she doesn't want to compete or she does it too long that she just can't peak good anymore, she will dominate wellness. She has become very, very much the exact wellness look, and we continue to see that develop competition to competition. You know, she keeps pushing the envelope a little more. You guys, you know what you should do, and maybe I'll just tell my editor guy to throw it up actually right here, but if you look at Francielle today versus the Arnold Classic that she actually won, you know, way back to actually get the first Wellness Pro card, this is a very different look. So she has continued to set the criteria and then continue to redefine it as it's gone, and judges are all about it. You know, it's very, she's obviously taking the feedback from the judges and doing exactly what they want, and that's why she continues to win, and is this dominant force that is very, you know, in a lot of ways untouchable right now. And this happens in a lot of divisions, right? You look at like Chris Bumstead in Classic Physique, he's a dominant force, you know, like you'll see that this happens, and there's been many reigns of bodybuilders, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler. It happens in every division to a degree, where there'll be an athlete that comes in and they just take over, and they'll win as long as they want to compete, or, you know, until they can't peak anymore because whatever, maybe they're getting older or something's different that has taken their, you know, physique off. But realistically, that is what we're seeing here with Francielle. The wellness division is now pretty established. It's still our newest division. She will continue to dominate this for a while. The other athletes are coming up. It's very exciting. All of you props. Everybody in this Arnold Classic did amazing. Great job. But Francielle, you know, is really a dominating factor. So what this means for you as a wellness competitor, if you want to be, you know, your best going into your first competition, going into your attempt at a pro card, maybe it's your first pro show coming up, whatever it is, what you want to be really focused on is bringing the look that the judges are telling us that they want. And that's what they're doing with these placings at the Arnold, at the Olympia, these big mega, events, and the pro shows that are big too as well. They're saying, hey, here's what the criteria is out of who showed up. So when we get to have Francielle and Isa, the top two from Olympia, show up at Arnold, that's a big, great message for all of you to say, okay, well, in that lineup, they're still the best, right? There's still plenty of other newer athletes and other athletes out there that had they not been there, they'd be in a topper, a bigger top call out, top spot, in other words. Maybe they would win, but with Francielle and Isa, that is still the criteria. That is still the standard. So you got to look at these and, take the notes from what I said today about that, the whole symmetry shape thing. Don't be too symmetrical. Make sure you're lower body dominant. Make sure you don't get overdone in the quads. Make sure your conditioning is right. You want to have those soft lines, but not, be too soft, kind of like what Isa brought. And I think, again, from overdoing her bulk, her build at this point to try to catch Francielle. So there's a lot that comes into this, you guys. Way too much to do in all this video here. Obviously, we do coaching. Make sure you get into the opportunity to win a free month with me, okay? You're training with me. Free month of our Ultimate Competitor program. You do not want to miss this. I'm giving this away. This is awesome experience. You will love it. It will change your entire life, let me tell you. Don't miss out on the chance to get it. Go put your email on that list, and I'll be hitting you up sometime soon, okay? I haven't decided how long I'll extend this deadline, but it won't be too long. But make sure you're on that list. That's crazy if you're not. And get everybody you know on that damn list. Have your mom sign up for you in case you don't win. Maybe she will, and she can give it to you, all right? Let's get on that list, you guys, and tons more content coming, by the way. We got a lot more to do. I'm going to do way more in-depth recaps and everything there, and we'll get to that, all right? So let's just make sure that you're subscribed and you're following along and you're paying attention with me, and that's it. Coach Rye is out.